All right, we got a new video here.
We got another video.
All right, and this one grows out of the last one.
Yes.
By the way, I'm Brendan and this is Anthony. We're in Sound Exchange.
That's Brendan and I'm Anthony. Or I'm Anthony and that's Brendan?
Yeah, it works either way. You can call us whatever we want.
Yeah.
But this grows out of the last video, if you watch that one, about people being real fans versus asshole fans. In the middle of the video, we got into a little side tangent about, one, whether genres matter or they don't matter. Anthony's gonna, they don't matter, right? And in Anthony's mind, everything's rock.
No, it's rock or it's not. it's soul or it's not.
Okay.
It's hip hop or it's not. Maybe it's because I'm lazy. It just makes it easier for me. I don't care about your neo soul. I don't care about your blah 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 soul, your blah soul, your blah 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 soul. It's just music to me.
Right.
I don't care about your rock, your indie rock, your pop rock, your punk rock, your cock rock. It's
all rock.
It's all rock. It's all rock and roll to me.
But there is a difference between glam rock and, say, stoner rock. Why?
100%.
Okay.
Yes.
But if we just called them rock, how does anybody know what that is?
Go find out, and then you'll know.
But if you're, I still think of this. I recognize today we don't necessarily need genres or labels or anything because of the internet, streaming, all of that. But back in the day, when I picked up a record in a store, and I only had the album cover to go on, if someone could tell me what kind of music that was, whether it was glam metal, heavy metal, thrash, I was not into thrash, so
also
I needed to know.
when we were kids,
yeah,
it was such a small sandwich.
Mm-hmm. Oh, of those art. I mean, the world.
So if somebody said glam, you knew
exactly what it was.
fit into that.
That's right.
If you said rock, it was
hip hop, and they were separate. Hip hop was over here, rock was over here, and they didn't mix. Right?
They always mixed for me.
Well, yeah, but you as a fan. But I mean, we talked about this before.
Yeah.
Growing up, there were cliques in the school.
Yeah.
You know, there were the hip hop fans, there was the hard rock or the metal fans. And it was sort of like these two, oil and water, they don't mix. At least it certainly was that way for me growing up in school. And then...
No, it definitely was for that, yeah.
And then at some point, it's all kind of mixed.
Now it's all mixed.
I turn on rock radio, and I can hear dance and hip-hop and soul and rock. And
for a while, indie rock was White Stripes, the Strokes. Now when you say indie rock, it's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
And is it indie rock, or is it indie blank rock, or is it blank indie rock?
Right. And for me, it doesn't sound anything like...
There's other words
Yeah.
put in with these things. You have stoner rock, you have heavy stoner rock, you have stoner rock,
you have desert rock,
you have desert rock,
and that's the same as stoner rock.
You have stoner metal.
Yeah, right.
What the fuck just happened?
I know. Yeah.
So I think that's where the genre thing completely fell off. I dismissed it from my radar.
Yeah.
So I don't care.
I still need it, and I like it for
I understand
certainly the channel where we can have a conversation about a band. Black Sabbath, I'm going to call them heavy metal, but I know you call them...
It's fucking rock. It's hard rock.
And see,
there's nothing metal about Black Sabbath.
But I call
you want it to be, but it's not.
Van Halen hard rock, and that is so different than Black Sabbath.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it?
So different. Night and day different.
Is it?
Yeah. Van Halen, in my opinion, created glam metal.
No way!
Totally.
The fucking New York Dolls.
No.
Created glam.
Glam
T-Rex.
rock. Glam rock.
See, now here... You got guys wearing high heels and tight fucking pants.
Yes.
It started with T-Rex and the New York Dolls.
Absolutely.
I don't give a shit if it's glam rock or glam metal. You're wearing tight pants and high heels. That's your thing.
Okay, but that's not the sound.
Does the sound... see, now I start getting... Because my phone's ringing. I don't know who the fuck these people are. Hello. Okay. So, but yeah, I don't know, man. Here's about like the same last video, asshole fans.
Yeah.
How do you stop yourself from getting heated? Because you believe in something so much, so.
Right, and you can't see it, and it drives you nuts that I feel the way that I do. But then,
and that's why I just now have said it's just music, man. And that's it. I don't care.
Anytime I bring up that
guy's a rapper, that guy's a singer. Okay, it gives you an idea.
Right. I still claim Guns N' Roses is a glam metal band.
Sure. Okay.
And I know you don't.
Okay.
Whenever
see how I change?
Yeah, you try. You're trying.
And just whatever.
But the point is that when I bring that up, and I know that a bunch of you guys watching out there are going to leave comments about this. That's how I came into the band. That was during the era. That's what they started as.
So when did you first hear Guns N' Roses?
Early 1987.
Early 1987, when that's a rock and roll record. So there's nothing, unless you saw Guns N' Roses prior to that, you didn't understand
metal
that they
not
were glam.
only Poison.
I know glam metal was not only Poison, but it wasn't Guns N' Roses. Guns N' Roses railed against those guys.
Great White was considered glam metal. Motley Crue,
yes.
Yes, definitely. But they had long since dropped the glam look. 88, they're in all the biker gear and everything.
You know who they copied?
Guns N'
Roses.
Yeah, of course.
Who wasn't glam metal.
But I see it as a way to be able to describe to like you guys watching an album. If I put an album up and I can say that it sounds like 90s alternative rock.
So do you say that Appetite is glam metal?
Yes.
So that's going to turn a lot of people off. It's Appetite for Destruction. It's the best rock and roll record ever recorded.
I agree completely. I don't call
He agrees that it's the best rock and roll record ever recorded.
Yes. I have a top 10 countdown of the best rock albums ever. And Appetite for Destruction is my number one rock album.
I have a countdown of the top 10 of my favorite records ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like I am discriminating by saying only rock. Because it's not only rock that moves me.
That's fine.
But I understand how you break it into that.
The reason I did that is not that I was cramming things in there that didn't fit the rock category. It was to help me limit it. I didn't pick certain artists because I was like, how can I have a top 10 of everything? There's just no way. So there was no Pearl Jam, there was no Nirvana, no Soundgarden, nothing in my top 10 rock because I call them grunge. I know.
What a shitty fucking term.
And if I'm going to do it and I'm going to call it rock, I'm going to call it alternative rock. But when I talk about rock, I'm talking about that. And so I left off a lot of glam metal bands. But the reason Guns N' Roses is in there is because they did strip that away and elevate above that long into their career. They're no longer called that. But
they were never called that. They were called that in 85 and 86.
And 87.
Not 87. It was the people
88.
who didn't understand them and see it anymore
Metal
that
magazines.
put them into that.
Yeah. But I'm just
Metal
saying,
magazines, not the band.
It doesn't matter. That's how I was introduced to the band.
I was introduced by how they sounded, which was never glam metal. So there's a...
But you came into it much later.
No, I came into Guns N' Roses back in 87, 88.
Yeah?
Yeah, man. So hearing that, I immediately knew this is what rock and roll sounds like.
6 years old, though?
No, I was
You're 3 years younger than me. Yeah. And in 1987, 88, I was 11 and 12.
Let me explain something to everybody out there. So I had an Uncle Phil. He was my hero growing up as a kid. So when I was 5 or 6 years old, my uncle decided he's going to buy CDs. So guess who got the LPs? Guess who got the 8-tracks? And guess who got the stereo system?
And look at him today.
The only reason I had Black Sabbath shirts in 5th grade, getting sent home because I had the child. What was it? What was the Born Again?
Born Again?
I had a Born Again T-shirt that my uncle gave me, and I got sent home from school because I had a long gone. But to combat that point,
right.
I've been a music fan.
You've been a fan longer than I have.
Forever.
Yeah.
And I owe that to my Uncle Phil.
Yeah.
I wanted to be my Uncle Phil, and he was a music fan. And he liked rock and roll. He liked hard rock and rock bands like Guns N' Roses.
And he didn't shove it down your throat.
He never shoved it down my throat. But he did give me all of his records and 8-tracks when he moved to CD. Man. So I had tons and tons of shit. And he also got me my first Appetite for Destruction CD. He gave me his double.
Wow. Oh, the second copy.
When I got my first CD player, which was years later.
What a great album to get as your first CD.
Yeah.
Mine was Motley Crue's Dr. Feelgood.
Nice.
That was my first CD.
Nice.
Given to me at Christmas with my CD player.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I know.
I can't remember my first CD player. I must have been 11 or 12. But before that, it was all cassettes.
Yeah. What was your first cassette that you bought? Or what format did you buy first? Did you buy a record or something? Or
I don't remember.
Oh, man. First thing I bought with my own money was Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction on cassette.
I won Appetite for Destruction and Lies on cassette on the Boardwalk in Seaside.
Oh, that's nice.
It's fucking awesome.
All right, so genres.
I don't know. I mean, you got to do it how you feel fit.
But music description.
I like that better than genre.
Right. Okay. So how do you describe Soundgarden to someone that's never heard it, other than just saying shit? But that doesn't tell them anything.
Then listen to it. It's not my job to tell you.
No, you're absolutely right. But I'm just saying, if they don't have the opportunity to hear it, let's take the internet out.
You know what? Oh, I was just going to say, I have that ability to give them that now.
You do. You're absolutely right. And I agree when people...
You know what it is? I don't ever want to have to explain to anybody what something sounds like. because I understand that everybody's ears and the way we interpret and hear things is different.
So different.
So
you don't want to taint it, is the idea.
I don't want, and somebody,
right.
as a person in a band, when somebody says, hey man, what's your band sound like? Bro, it sounds like Long Gone Day.
Right, but see, I don't know what Long Gone Day sounds like.
Then fucking listen to it.
Right.
Right? That's what you think.
Yes, yes. And by the way, for those of you out there, that's the name of his band. I've been getting asked a lot.
Oh, Long Gone Day.
Yeah, what band is Anthony in? It's Long Gone Day. You can stream them. I know they're on Apple. There you go, CD right here in the store. So you can check them out.
Yeah, stream us on any streaming service that you have.
And they don't fall into any genre or category, according to Anthony, but they're awesome.
We're a rock and roll band.
You're a rock and roll band. I would call it.
We're heavy. We're hard. It's what would you call it?
90s alternative rock. That's
just I don't hear it. I don't see it. I had somebody compare us to Biohazard at our show Saturday.
No.
But see, okay,
no freaking way.
So here we go. So at being in a band for a lot of years.
Yeah.
This is the wide range. Judas Priest, Faith No More, Soundgarden, Biohazard.
That you've been compared
90s
to?
alternative rock. So that's five almost vastly different things
that people hear.
So who am I to say?
I mean,
if I say 90s alternative rock, I'm not trying to.
But you're thinking you might limit certain people who don't like 90s alternative rock, right?
I'm completely off base.
Right.
Who knows?
Right.
And I might be completely off base because of the way I hear things. It's like standing in a crowded bar and you think they're making eyes at you. And you go over to buy them a drink, and they look at you like you're an asshole.
Yeah, right. And
man, how did I misinterpret that?
Exactly. That is exactly
So what you don't do is you don't do that
anymore.
We're
having the Me Too movement of music right now. You can no longer create genres or call genres. It's not politically correct to label a band anymore.
Holy shit, is that what we just did?
I think we did. I think we just created the Me Too movement of music.
I don't know. We have to feel it and do how we want.
Yeah.
You know, it's.
I mean, I come from a different background. I know that for me, a lot of you guys watch my channel already know this. I'm an architect, and part of being an architect, I think you've got to be of a certain mindset of organizing and being methodical, and rigid to a way. So lists and groupings and things like that, things being put in their place, I think comes out of me having trained and studied and learned as an architect. It kind of made me who I am, or I went into it because
which is awesome.
But my music, I look at the same way. I need categories. I've got my racks of CDs at home, and they are divided by genre, of which your store is kind of divided by genre in some degrees. You've got a rock section, a soul section. You've got blues. You've got soundtracks. You don't
only on used CDs because it's easier to find the used stuff that way.
That's true. That's true. The rest of everything,
and 99% of our LPs are the same way. We have small sections because I don't want that one reggae. There's 10 reggae records in there right now. I don't want the Ken Booth comp to get lost in B.
Yeah.
You know, I want you to go to reggae and see you can find some of that shit. But when you want the bigger artists, the Marley and all that stuff, it's in the alphabet.
And I get that, except that when I'm in a mood for a particular kind of music, I want to go to my glam metal section, because I have racks of it, and I pull out Skid Row, and yes, their first album
rock and roll is not glam metal. That is a rock record. There's nothing glam about that.
The whole first record is entirely glam. Yes, it is.
I disagree.
The look, the sound, everything. His
I don't see any glam. They were wearing
music.
plain leather pants, shirtless, a leather jacket. That's not glam.
There you go.
That was hard rock.
Shirtless,
that's rock and roll.
Teased hair.
There's no fucking teased hair on that first album cover.
No, not on the album. Not on the album cover in the video.
It's all that matters is the album cover. Okay? Because F the videos. It's a rock and roll record. So I feel that you might be putting them into a category based on how they look, not how they sound, because that doesn't sound.
The sound of glam metal was hugely wide and far beyond what it started as, which is bands like Cinderella, Poison, and so forth. Even Cinderella had a really huge blues, hard rock background.
They did.
But they were full.
But look how they looked. They dressed like ladies and they teased their hair.
Yes. And so they got lumped in with that.
But they dressed like ladies and teased their hair on the album covers.
That's true. Then
Skid Row did not do that. Guns N' Roses did not do that.
But by the time that album was coming out, that was 88, 89?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I was never a big fan.
They looked like the other bands that were part of that era. Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses. I know you still think Guns N' Roses was not. But so I do group them in that. And for me, that works because that's my mindset. If I'm listening to glam metal, it's also a time period. It's 1986 to 1991. It's glam metal.
I agree with all of this.
I could call it, instead of calling it glam metal, I could just say I love rock from 86 to 91 best. That little era. So I have a whole section of that. Now, those bands made albums after that. It still goes in there. So the Slave to the Grind album is not glam metal. The follow-up Subhuman Race is extremely not glam metal. I still categorize them in there. And so if I go there to pull out Skid Row, I want to be able to grab other like sounding stuff, whether we...
I don't think anybody sounds like Skid Row, by the way.
I'd have to really think about that.
I don't think anybody sounds like Guns N' Roses. Now they do. Yeah. Now you can take 10 bands nowadays that sound just like them. But then... Yeah.
But no, you're right. You're absolutely right. And it's not that I'm going to get it sounding just like it. It's more like...
It's more like the feeling that you had from that era.
So I'm going to listen to some Tesla with
you could just call it music.
I could. But if I say to you guys, hey, this is an awesome glam metal band from 1991, for some of us who really know that era, we'll go, oh yeah, I love the sound from 1991, which is different than 1989.
I agree.
You know, so I like to use it for that. But for me, just being able to group my stuff allows me, when I'm in a mood, to go for something specific.
I'm with you. It's like I'm saying yacht rock. Who doesn't love that solid gold AM radio, late 70s, early 80s, that sound?
Yeah.
And that's where else are you going to put it?
That's right.
Soft rock?
Yeah.
106.7?
Right.
Or now they call it yacht rock. So
it's like
sometimes there's a...
See, but I don't... It's like calling glam metal hair bands or hair metal. I freaking hate that
term. Same shit to me.
But it wasn't called that back in the day. That was a derogatory term that got applied to it.
You can also say that the original glam was in the 70s, not in the 80s. So it was glam and then it was hair metal, which you are putting as the same thing. Because glam was...
No, it's called glam rock. And they changed it to glam metal to differentiate it, even though most of the bands were not metal at all.
That sounds like apples and oranges to me. It's fruit.
That's right. They are. They're apples and oranges. They're completely
So it's all music.
No.
Yes, it's all music.
You can't have an apple taste like an
orange. The original glam was in the 70s. It was fucking Bowie. It was T-Rex.
And glam metal built on it.
I don't think
it's like saying...
First of all, you want to say glam metal. Guns N' Roses isn't metal. Skid Row isn't... The first record's not metal. It's a rock and roll record. Cinderella, you're only saying it's metal. It's not really metal. No. Great White, not metal.
Oh, they're full on hard rock 70s.
So how can you say they're glam metal?
No, it's... You're right. I don't consider... all the bands sounding like... The only real glam metal bands were like Poison.
But you put them in... I don't even consider Poison wasn't metal. Poison was shitty rock that was really good.
Look what the Cat dragged in. Absolutely heavy metal. But I agree. Most of it is not. It's just pop,
but you're taking now glam metal because that's... or
Bon Jovi is glam metal.
Bon Jovi never released a metal song in their entire lives. That's a rock and roll band.
They were still glam metal.
No, they're a rock and roll band. They were only glam because they teased their hair like ladies.
And I agree.
And that's cool.
The term metal does not apply to 99% of these bands.
But so you can't call Bon Jovi glam metal because he's rock.
I didn't create it. It's like saying that
take it away.
Nirvana's not grunge.
So you don't... But it's not. It's rock and roll.
No, it's grunge.
So, but you agree that Bon Jovi's not metal.
They're not metal.
So then don't call it glam metal anymore. Call it by its name, Bon Jovi. Rock and roll. It's like... I can't
life
lesson here. If you don't understand pronouns for people nowadays, call them by their name.
Yeah, that's all you got to do.
Bon Jovi is not glam metal. You heard it from the horse's mouth. He said it's not metal.
It's not.
So what do you call it? Bon Jovi.
What's it sound like? Bon Jovi.
Bon Jovi. Yes, because if you ask what something sounds like nowadays, that sounds like Bon Jovi because it's 30 years later.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. So it's this is such a fuck.
I know. But I hear what you're saying, and even me talking about it, I can hear the flaws. In it.
And as I'm talking about it, I hear myself wanting to classify it and put it into a category.
Right,
so it's...
Yeah, it goes both ways.
John Lennon said, whatever gets you through the night. So that's how you have to live your life.
Yeah.
And maybe you're going to get a kick out of watching us discuss this shit, which will get you through the night.
That's true. I mean, I said this in the last video, and I just want to point it out here because it was a realization I had in the last video. I suddenly realized why I like genres. And it's for a descriptive purpose. So it's like not knowing a word. If you get the definition, you understand the word. So to me, a genre is the definition to a band. And somebody can say, hey man, I like Soundgarden. And it's like, oh yeah, you like 90s grunge. I've got this other band over here that sounds like them, right? So it's a descriptive term. So for me, at least, that's where that comes from and why I like it.
I don't...
Yeah,
because
you think we're
both... It's limiting.
And
we're both on the same page with music in general. But where you said, especially going back to architecture and all that, and having the groups and the categories, the minute somebody groups or categorizes anything,
you don't like it?
I'm fucking lighting on fire, bro.
Oh, man.
I'm out.
Yeah.
Don't you fucking dare. And it's the same thing when somebody walks in and say, "You're a Motley Crue fan? You like Motley Crue? Holy shit! You like Snoop Dogg? Why wouldn't I?"
Yeah, and I'm like, hell no.
So immediately and I think a lot of it is it's me being a rebellious asshole, because I'll think, why are you even questioning? Why would you question whether I like it or not? Why do you have to look at me? Yeah, why do you look at me in a sense that I am this?
Right. Well, people watch my channel.
Or that I'm this, or that I'm this.
They think I'm only into 70s rock and 80s glam metal and stuff like that. And I'm like, nah, I actually
run the gamut. Yeah.
Totally. I just don't talk about a lot of it on the channel because it doesn't fit the box that I have created for this channel.
I like talking about everything else that is completely outside the box everybody else thinks that I fit in. So I think that's part of my categorizing thing. And then always being put in a box, it makes me not want to put anything in a box and just say, hey, man.
Yeah.
And then if I love Soundgarden and you tell me another band sounds like Soundgarden, now I know there's 3 bands out there that I can play that sound like fucking Soundgarden. And
nobody
it's
sounds
awful.
like Soundgarden.
You got to hear these bands.
Okay.
I'll give you 3.
I know. We listened to one of them in the store.
Yeah. So if somebody says, oh, it sounds like Soundgarden, I'm instantly turned off because nothing sounds like Soundgarden.
Yeah. It's like if anyone said, that, they sound like Motley Crue. I'm like, nope. No, I've found one
turns
band.
You off.
Yeah, one band that sounded like them.
At the same time, somebody else needs that reference. So how do we better serve everybody's needs?
I think it's a combination between how we're both approaching it. It's
acceptance is number 1. Yeah. Don't be a dick.
Right. Acceptance, but at the same time, try to speak to them on their level.
Yes.
So if they need a comparison, give them a comparison.
Which and that the comparisons that I do give does not mean I am into genres or breaking things down.
Right. Yeah. So even if I break it down,
just trying to help you.
Yeah. Exactly.
Not into it. Right. Don't want to be into it. And if you ask, I'll tell you.
Right.
You needed it.
Right.
But I've given, and again, because the way we hear music, I know I've given some far-fetched shit for examples based on how the music's made me feel. So let's say that T-shirt has made me feel long pants, when really it should be shorts because it's 100 degrees out. None of that makes sense, right? That's how I feel when I have to describe music to somebody sometimes, because it made me feel like this.
I've described
which
music,
is not the same genre or
completely
type of music.
I've described bands as ones that you can only listen to early in the morning, like
yes, yeah. There's
PM, other people that think
there's midnight records.
Oh no, man, this is like driving on the road, and I'm like, can't do it.
That almost burns me up more. I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah, I know. But
it's a midnight driving to the beach record because you got nothing else to do and you want to hear the sound of the ocean.
So there you go. It's gonna never end. There's always gonna be something to.
It's not a lunchtime record,
right? To classify, organize, put it in its little box, stamp it. Make it palatable for anyone, right?
Yeah,
that's part of what this is.
Make it palatable for yourself. Go out there and experience it. Listen to it for yourself. Come up with your own conclusions and live life how you want to live it. Yeah. You want to throw it into groups and categories because you need to get by, that's fine. Do that. If you don't, fucking that's fine too, man.
Thank you for accepting me.
No, thank you for accepting me.
All right. And we accept you guys. All right. Peace out.
See you later.